Okay, today I wanted to continue talking about some of the things that we've discovered here on the farm, but I think more important and most important would be to explain just why it is that I have concluded that the Sabe people are real. And I still, when I say that out loud, it's still kind of a crazy, amazing thing to say. And so I thought, since I've got this YouTube channel, and since in the research that I've been doing in the writings of the Baha'is, Baha'u'llah says truthfulness is the foundation of all human virtues. So I don't want to say this if it isn't true, and here's why I think it's true. This is why it's important. I've thought a long time about it, and before I started putting any of this together, I thought that it was possible, that there could be a small migratory, reclusive remnant of some descendant of Gigantopithecus out there wandering around the world. And that's what I thought after I saw the Patterson-Gimlin film when it came out. I saw it in a movie theater in Tucson, Arizona, whatever year that was. 70, 71, 60, I don't even remember, but way back there. And I was amenable to the idea. And then somewhere after that, in a couple of stages, about 10 years ago and then about 4 or 5 years ago, I learned that I had extended family members who had each seen a cryptid that is not supposed to exist. One of them saw a Sasquatch during the Momo, the monster flap at Clarksville, Missouri, and what is the other town down there? Down by Clarksville, Missouri. Can't think of the other town right now. But anyway, they had gone out with the Jeep to look for the thing while it was everything was going on. It lasted for several weeks, and they actually saw it across the road in front of them. And another extended family member, had seen a flying cryptid in a place where it was not supposed to be, and other people had seen that as well at that time. And I think people were even injured during that. So it wasn't like, if you wanted to vet this, I could have, but I trust him. That particular family member installs electronic surveillance equipment in places where it's essential, and that includes outside the United States. So I trust both of these people. They have no reason to lie to me about this stuff. But still, it was just like, okay, that's all right. But it hadn't really focused in to me that this was a real phenomenon in my life. So with that background, then I've mentioned in an earlier video that I had come across the presentation to me of the hindquarter of a fawn deer in the path that I mow. And I began to think right then that, yeah, there's something going on here, because it was not part of an animal kill. There was no predation, no teeth marks, no cut marks, no claw marks. It hadn't been beaten up. The fur wasn't all torn off. It wasn't a dog or a cat that did it. And by that I mean it wasn't a wolf or a cougar or a bobcat or anything. And it wasn't a human. There just was no marks on it and no blood. And a month later, somebody else relayed exactly the same story. As I mentioned earlier, it was a kid in Tennessee, and he had relayed that story to Steve Istall's channel. So I was pretty certain that something was going on here, and that was probably a Sasquatch. But it's when I found the two raccoon carcasses myself on my own farm. And in each case, the skin, the hide had been pulled off the carcass, still attached to the paws and the nose in one situation, and then the one 5 days later was still attached at the tip of the tail and the hind paws. And it was skin of cat. All the fur was in this bag of skin. The guts were set aside in a neat pile, and the entire thing had been, the carcass was all intact and had been licked clean. And that was the confirmation for me. And then a more important confirmation came as regards to the whole Sasquatch issue when another person in Illinois found a deer carcass on the Vermilion River, and I've left the link to that in a previous episode as well. And so that independently corroborated what I had found on my farm. So my thinking was, pardon me, if there's an animal that does that, just tell me what animal it is. We all know what animal it is, right? That skins their carcass inside out like that, sets the guts aside, and then licks the plate clean. We all know because animals have been doing it. That animal's been doing it for hundreds of thousands of years, so we all know what it is, right? No, we don't, because there's no animal that does that. And there isn't any hoaxer that does it on my farm without risk of, lead in the seat of the pants. And nobody's doing it to a deer on the Vermilion River so that someone else will also find it so that we can put the two and two together. That is the confirmation. There's something going on out there. And I haven't seen one yet, but I fully expect to, because there's so much going on here that one or more family members of my immediate family have been either tagged or adopted, whatever you want to call it, because this stuff just keeps happening. So that's why I'm sure. And if you don't think anyone should be sure, just write down the name of the animal that turns the hide inside out without leaving a tooth mark or a cut mark or a claw mark or tufts of hair where they've torn everything up while they did it. Because this was all neat and clean, and I have showed you the photos. So that's why I think it's real. I've had undeniable evidence presented to me. I didn't go out and hunt those raccoons up. They were left where I would find them, on the trail that I mow. And I bet over half of this stuff has been on the trail that I mow, which is a place that, if you're a Sabe, and we've also learned from Steve Istall that they watch people mow. So, of course, they know I go back and forth on that trail, and then they watch me walk it with my dog. If they want me to see something, it's just like the shell of the box turtle that they left down the lane here in the last month. They know I'm going to find it. I walk that every day or so. Every day that's not raining. Like that, it's been, or too hot. So there you go. That's why I think it's real. I've had all of this stuff happen to me, and if you can't tell me what animal it is that's in the encyclopedia and that everybody knows about, the zoo's full of them, that turns the skin inside out when they eat, well then maybe you're closer to believing it's real too. So that's why I do that. That's why I think that. And I thought I owed you that much as about why I'm involved in this. It's not, but it is partly too that it's odd that all of this is happening and I figured out that it's real. That was a surprise to me. But still, the underlying reason why I'm here today is that quotation. Truthfulness is the foundation of all human virtues. Or, know thou that every fixed star hath its own planets, and every planet its own creatures, whose number no man can compute. that one too, and all of the others that I've quoted out of these writings. I can't find another religion that says all of that. And so whether or not you're a religious person or not, and as Steve Istall says, I don't think we need to try to prove what we already know is true, because that's a trap. If you're going to try to prove it to somebody, just like I've told you why I believe it, there's still going to be people out there that say, oh, it could all be hoaxed. It could all be the wind. It could all be the storms. It could all be natural causes. It could be misidentification. Sure. And that's why I'm giving you, that's why I wanted to do this episode, is in the last one I was talking about things that came to mind after it's sudden the realization that it was true. And all of those things didn't come to mind until later. And so, you know, maybe some of the tree breaks are the wind. Who cares? Who cares? It doesn't matter if they're all true anymore. Now I'm looking at them all with suspicion, because I know there's somebody out there big enough to do that. And so I'm trying to figure out what message they're trying to send me currently, if any. So anyway, that's the way it is around here now. And I think next time I'll probably go back and do another article from the MUFON Journal. And I'll show you here just a second. I'll reach and show you my articles. I suppose. So I've been published a bunch of times. I got published in that one, and in this 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 one, and in that one, and in this one, although I don't have the front page up in this file. So, those magazines are the reason that I don't have a problem coming on camera on YouTube and coming out, if you will, about what I know is true, because I'm already in print on all of this stuff. And if anybody can't do that, that's okay. I understand it. I just happen to be in a situation where financially, I'm not, nobody's going to fire me for saying the things that I think are true. And so that's a luxury for me. And I can understand how there would be people out there that aren't in the same situation. But likewise, if you're interested in ET, by all means, I recommend joining MUFON, the Mutual UFO Network. And if you do, look me up, because all these articles are in there in the last 2 or 3 years, and so they keep an archive of these journals, and you can read everything that I've had to say about it. So I guess that'll do it for today, and I'll probably go back and talk about another article or two that I've written, and maybe some that they haven't published yet. So it's the end of June, and I hope you stay safe and have a good 4th of July. I'll see you later. Bye.